Is that working? Hello everyone. Could you take a seat please, or else we're going to run over time before we've even got started. Thanks. Welcome, second year running. This is not anything too formal, so don't panic. And I know there are a few nervous people out there. Don't worry, we are being streamed live online, and we've got a few people from Australia watching, so God knows what time of the morning it is over there. I was conscious not to stereotype Devon too much when branding this year's event. And yes, I've dressed down, but I thought it'd be quite a quirky thing to do. Before we get started, boring stuff. If there is a fire, and I hope not, there's nothing planned. There's 2 doors, double doors behind those curtains, and likewise at the back. And then get out of there and run for your life. No, seriously, walk, and you'll go for another set of sort of double doors and just congregate outside. Don't gorge yourself too much, but there's still 31 cupcakes that need to be eaten during the first part of this, followed by 100 free ice creams at the interval. Food is the way to my heart. I would like to now, on a very serious note, introduce potentially at least one of these young ladies will be our new head girl. They were interviewed for that today, and they would like to officially welcome you to Teach Meet Devon.
Hi, and welcome to Tavistock College. It's lovely to see so many of you here this evening, and we hope that you are able to all gain something from the amazing presentations to come. I'm Alessi, and I'm a current Year 12 student studying Business, English Literature and Math.
Hello everybody, I'm Alice, and I'm also in Year 12 studying Geography, Business and English Literature. We both began here at Tavistock College in 2012, and as part of our year group have seen the educational reform that's taken place here ever since. Not only does the college focus upon the learning required for exam criteria, but it promotes the opportunities that help us to develop as young people through events and projects of all departments.
The college has also given the opportunity for sixth formers to visit some very prestigious universities, such as Oxford and Cambridge, and experience a day in the life of a student through residentials and masterclasses. After visiting many open days myself, I found that universities aren't looking for students that can only show academic acumen, but those who are able to show they are well-rounded individuals with an out-of-college passion for their subject. And it's these extra opportunities that the college offer that place Tavistock College students in an outstanding position for university and job applications.
Teachers incorporate new and exciting methods of teaching, such as project-based work, so that we can adapt our knowledge into real-world situations. Additionally, it's becoming increasingly popular to enter groups into subject-based competitions, such as the engineering scheme, which our team won, and multiple business competitions that we both have been very fortunate to take part in. The college has also been very successful in winning Youth Speaks, Carnegie, and regional show jumping. As well as this, the college ventured into sending a computer into space.
The most recent example of our business project work was the opportunity to take part in Peter Jones's Tycoon of Schools competition, for which our team were regional and national winners out of over 2,000 students, 900 teams, and 500 schools. The result of this was an award ceremony at Buckingham Palace with Peter Jones and Prince Andrew. From this, we were able to gain some invaluable advice and business knowledge. It's these opportunities that build confidence and teach us to overcome challenges and work as a team. All of these and the many other skills that we have learned and developed are transferable to our chosen future careers and in particularly challenging times in the near future, such as university applications.
In addition to this, the college has a large participation in sport, which has led to the creation of scholars teams in both netball and football. We have the exciting opportunities for both teams to go on a 9-day sports tour to Florida next year. However, to help fund this, myself and the teams are raising money through sources such as our business, Just Popcorn. And if you haven't already visited the popcorn stand, then please do during the course of the evening. It should only improve your visit. The profits will be used to ensure we have fantastic kit to wear during Florida that we can be really proud of. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
That's why it's an informal event. You may be wondering why I'm so red. Just to explain, we had sports day today, and in Tavistock, the sun actually did shine for about 2 or 3 hours, and I didn't put any sun cream on. I would first of all like to thank our students for that wonderful introduction. And as we know, it's not just about exam results. And I am determined tonight to get Teach Meet Devon, #TMDevon, trending above Boris Johnson and most certainly Michael Gove. That's my political soapbox ended. It gives me great pleasure in welcoming someone who is a bit of a Twitter legend, but also I seem to bump into at many different ad hoc events and after parties and various things to do with the educational community, most recently at the Bet Show, and at 2 o'clock in the morning eating canapes in a random bar, which was very nice, with lots of other teachers. Mark Anderson at ICT Evangelist, he came last year. I couldn't do anything other than invite him back because he stole the show. And as we will see later on, he did actually inspire one of the presenters who's coming on a bit later on. So we'll see how that measures up. So without further ado, Mark Anderson, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gary. It makes me sound like a bit like an alcoholic, doesn't it? It's not that bad, honestly. Right. So yeah, hi, I'm Mark, and thank you to Gary and everyone here for asking me to come back and speak and share again. It's a real privilege to be able to come back and share with you guys. I'm not going to keep you for too long, and I'm certainly going to try and whip through the slides quite quickly. But I want to welcome everyone. A large part of what I'm about is about using technology. It's dead simple, but can be used in lots of really easy ways. I knocked that up in about a minute. There's a free app called Ditty, which you can get on your phone and your tablet and what have you. You simply tap in, type in the words you want. You choose a song that you want the words to be sung along to. You hit go. You can choose whether or not to have some images behind it and what have you. And you save it, and that's it. And it takes about a minute. And so I'm going to go through a whole bunch of different tools and tips and hints and things that are absolutely to do with learning. You might think this is a bit of a gimmick, but what if it was some primary, any primary teachers in, by the way? So what if some children needing to learn rules like I before E except after C? Okay, so they enter it and it plays it to that I'm sexy and I know it song. You know, the children will remember that. Okay, and they might remember that a little bit more. So I'm going to go through lots of different ways in which we can use tech and other things, not only to help learning in the classroom, but also a few hints and tips for you to make your job and what have you a little bit easier as well. So that's called Ditty. Okay, and if you go to the website, you can download the app from there and what have you. So I moved to the dark side, I did. I saw some R2-D2s and things. I used to be a teacher. I'm going to rip through this really quickly because it says all this sort of stuff in the organizer. But I used to be a teacher. I taught for sort of more than 20 years. I've had lots of different roles. I write and share things on my blog, which has done all right. And I've written a book, which has done all right as well. And the technology stuff, I might stand here looking a bit like an Apple fanboy, and to be fair, I am a little bit, but for me, it's about using technology well. It's about using technology so it actually has a purpose. And quite frankly, I don't mind whether you're a Microsoft school, you're a Microsoft Showcase school, you're an Apple Distinguished school, you're a whatever. It's about how you use that stuff. I'm also an independent thinking associate, and ITL have supplied one of the prizes for tonight, which is a big bag of books. And I do a bit of this sort of stuff, speaking and what have you. But really, I come from a point in time where I wanted to change the world and sort of make it a better place. That's why I became a teacher in the first place. And I think educating is a massive force for good. I do what I do now, not because I wanted to get out of teaching, but actually because of the work I've been doing through my blog and the sharing and working with lots of schools and all the rest of it. I saw it as an opportunity to actually have a bigger impact. And it's been very successful, and I'm doing all right with it, but it's something I'm really, really passionate about. And so you'll see me work with schools, with pupil referral units and all sorts of places, because I want to make a difference, because I'm really passionate about it. And it really unites us, I believe, education, rather than divides us. So why are you here? This is a quote from Cara Welty, an American teacher, educator. I want to use that sort of term. Student engagement is never ever achieved with a disengaged teacher. Has anybody made you come here tonight as your head of the department? If you don't go to teach in heaven, right, that's it. No, you come here off your own steam, off your own back. You want to try and develop your practice, okay? Cara Welty, follow her, really good Twitter feed with lots of great ideas there. Hello to the live stream as well, by the way. So, what's it like to be a teacher? Well, sometimes I liken it to this. It's a bit like being a browser with 2,809 tabs open all the time. It's a hard job. You're busy all the time. But I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for things like Teach Meets, and certainly if it wasn't for things like Twitter. How many of you here are using Twitter? Okay, hands up. Good. If you're not, why not? Do it. Get on Twitter. Okay, it's like legal stalking for teaching and learning ideas. Yeah, it is absolutely brilliant. And if you do want to sort of step out a bit and actually say something and ask somebody a question, it's like a teacher-led Google. So you can type things into Google and you'll get answers, but it's like Twitter's got a teacher filter. Yeah, and so you can get some fantastic resources and some fantastic ideas just from getting yourself onto that social media. Thing is, though, you go to the staff room sometimes, and have you got any of these in your school? See what you see. What is it? It's a mood hoover. Yeah? You go into your staff room, you're like, oh, I was on Twitter last night, I saw this idea. There he goes again. Ignore them. You're doing the right thing. Actually getting out there and finding out how you can improve your practice and develop and what have you is really, really good. And we can find some really good fun things as well. So real or no real. Okay, speaking of mood hoovers, have you seen The Guardian's Secret Teacher? Okay, they're some happy chaps, aren't they? Okay, so I've got some Guardian's Secret Teacher images, okay, coming up on the next few slides. But what I want you to do is tell me, are these real ones or not real ones? Okay, so real or no real? Okay, so Secret Teacher, don't talk about the field trip. You weren't there, man. Real or no real? Not real. I want it to be real. It's so good, isn't it? I really want it to be real. Let's try this one. I have no idea how to mark students' work. Real? Real, absolutely, yeah. I fixed the vote for head boy and head girl. Gary, was that you? Real or no real? It's not real, no, it's not real. I was treated like a naughty pupil for not wearing a tie. Real, yeah, very good. I tried a lesson from Twitter and now I'm on capability. Real or? That's not real either, no. This is my favourite one. I slept with one of the dinner ladies and now I get all the chips I want. I want it to be real, I really want it to be real. It's not real. I found these from this guy here, or girl, I don't know, it's an anonymous account, Secret Teacher. SEKRETTEECHER. It's just spoof sort of secret teacher things. Really cracks me up. But as teachers, we do have lots of these different sort of shared experiences, things that are common across all the schools that we work in, don't we? I talked about education uniting us rather than dividing us. Things like this, like that moment when a pupil calls you mum or dad. Yeah, have you had that moment before? Yeah, or things like this where the broadband goes down and your lesson just completely goes to pot. Things like this as well. Oh, Homer's, you know, dance me, Homer? No, he's gone. That moment when you nail a lesson observation, you're standing there and you're going, ha ha ha. What about this one? That moment when you know when you have a staff meeting and then you're at the end, you want to go home and someone asks one more question. It's that moment, isn't it? Oh, we have these shared experiences. Building ourselves up, though, and supporting ourselves as a profession, I think is really important. You know, I don't know how many years, you know, how often do you get into, who gets into their staff room every single lunchtime? No one in the room. That's a difficult state of affairs. And so it's really important that we have the opportunities to get together like this, or on staff socials, or all the rest of it, to get opportunities to talk about what we do, to have a bit of a laugh about it sometimes. The world of education has changed so much. I was working on the Isle of Man recently, and part of my job there was to inspire the teachers there and get them thinking about sort of more modern ways of learning and more modern ways of teaching. And I went on Twitter and sort of tried to model it myself. So I said, you know, dear Twitter, can you tell me what it is to be a modern educator? And like 50 odd people came back. It was with different sort of bits and bobs and ideas. You want me to read all of those because it's quite small, but I'll highlight one of them to you, which really resonated for me. This is by Jo Baker-Nine. She's head of art at a school in Lincoln. And she said, appreciating the fact that you can learn as much from your students as they can, as they do from you. That's one of my absolute favourite bits there. But there are loads of great ones here. Caring about students is a timeless value. Use all the new stuff, data and systems, but never stop caring. That's from a teacher in Newcastle. We've got connected, inquisitive, learner, adopter, willing to fail but willing to try, and always wanting best for students. That's from Luke Dyer. He's in China. Yeah, and I think that so the world of education is massively changed, and we're so busy and so time poor with everything we've got to do. How many of you have to mark in pen colours more than 5 different colours? You know, things like this. So you hear these stories you hear about, which are absolutely crazy. Things have changed massively in our career, and so my focus is a bit about technology. And schools, you know, quite right, school invests, you know, tens of thousands of pounds in technology. They want to see a learning return and an improvement in standards because they've invested so much money in this technology. But it's most important to try and keep it simple, and I'll try and reiterate in my presentation. But I say it's about what works for you with your kids in your school, with your teachers. Do you see some teachers sharing things on Twitter, and someone will come along and go, well, that's rubbish. I'd never do that with my kids. Well, excuse me for sharing. Actually, I made this because it works with my kids in my classroom, and I really know my kids. I thought I might share it. So it's a really great way of sharing, but sometimes people aren't as nice as they could be on Twitter. But sometimes you come across resources like this. I made this periodic table of iPad apps sort of 2 years ago. I made this one about 3 weeks ago. And I sort of put it on Twitter, not last Saturday, Saturday before. Okay, it's had, I don't know, 65, 70,000 views, and it's just gone completely bonkers. If you want to use it yourself to help you, okay, there's a section at the top here. Actually, if I do this, it should come up. There you go. So it's broken down by colour. You can see the colours behind here. And this is just an example of a resource that you can find, and teachers and people like me are willing to give away and share and help you to sort of find things for your classroom in your learning and what have you. So, for example, if you're looking for tools to help you with your teaching in the classroom, down here at the bottom, we've got this sort of section in blue. There's a whole bunch of really easy to use, simple, mostly free. They're all free bar those two, I think. I'll see you after the class. But just simple things, and you know, the ones I've put in here as well are all tried and tested. It's not as if I'm getting paid by a company. I don't. Okay, although you might have seen some adverts recently, but only for one company. But things like this, they're readily available all over the place. But I worry about sort of fetishization of technology. Okay, it's much more important that the kids in your class know what they're learning, not what app they're using. You know, it should just be part of that toolkit, be it a compass, be it the ruler, be it the iPad, be it the Samsung tablet, whatever it is. It's just really important that we have things that are massively simple to use. And it's not just about buying loads of tablets, it's about putting that idea of teaching and learning first, so that we were focused on our core business. In geography, kids should be learning about geography, not how to use 10 different apps to make something about what they're learning about. That's not it. So it's about keeping it, this isn't me on a date, by the way. This is about sort of keeping it simple, silly. And so I have these sort of 3 rules for sort of effective use of technology in the classroom. Keep it simple, keep it real. That's my Ali G moment. And make it count. Because, you know, how many computer programmers are in the room? Okay, keep your hand up. Okay, how many teachers are in the room? Okay, you can't do what he can do. Okay, and so keep it simple because you've got enough to be doing. Keep it real. Don't just do it because you might have a target on your performance management which says, you know, thou must use iPads in your class or whatever. Okay, well, great. Use them when it's appropriate, but don't feel like, oh my God, my lesson obviously is coming up. I better get the iPads out now. You know, the evidence of using technology well will be there whether those devices are out or not. And it's massively important to make it count. Excuse me. So look, I want to show you a few apps that you'll find really helpful in making resources. They're dead simple to use. This is a free app called Typorama. Okay? People are like, Mark, you're so good with graphics. I'm not really. I use technology to make stuff dead easily. Okay, so Typorama, which is free, you type your text in, and it makes it look awesome on pictures that you can use, which are copyright free. And you can use rubber to rub things out as well, which you get really sort of cool effects like that. Okay, so I've seen that being used in lots of different ways. Okay, things like speeding tickets. Yeah, for children, you could give a kid a speeding ticket for slowing down because they've been working too fast. That's by Kate Jones, a teacher in North Wales. You know, made her image using Typorama. Dead simple. Takes you 5 minutes. Boom. Print them out nice and what have you as well. Some people like to use them at conferences. So I was at a conference where brave head Dave Harris, who's another ITL associate, did this quote. I thought the quote was ace. I typed it in and it just did that for me. Actually, it took me 5 hours and I was really, no, it's so simple. So these apps like Typorama, another one called Adobe Spark Post, okay, which is also free. You can do that on your phone, or and there's more information on that later on in the presentation. You can do it online now, spark.adobe.com, and you just pop in your words. It makes it look ace, puts in really high quality images. Okay, now that comes with your post. You also get Page, okay, which is an image with really beautiful web pages. Okay, but you just put the content in. If you're looking for something for like your department newsletter or your whole school newsletter or something like that, Page it looks awesome, but you have to do none of the work. You just put the content in, it makes your work look amazing. And then there's Adobe Spark Video, which is like PowerPoint, but you can't put all the words in. There isn't much space, and what you have to do, rather than it's great for children, okay, rather than asking the children to put their content onto the slide physically with words and what have you, they put maybe an icon. Okay, and then they press the record button and say things on top instead over each slide. And Spark Video will make it look amazing without the kids having to spend any time. How many of your kids make their presentations so they go, yeah, it doesn't do any of that. It keeps them completely focused on doing really nice stuff. So technology, okay, is dead simple to use, okay, when we use it in simple ways. So let's try and leverage it. So here's something, I know we've got a few computing teachers in the room, so I want to draw your attention to this thing here called Bloxels. Okay, so this is a free app. Okay, if you're a primary teacher, you're going to love this. I've got 2 of my own boys who are, feel bad now, 5 and 7, I should know that. Okay, and my 7-year-old who's in year 2 made this in about half an hour, 45 minutes. Okay, he's created a character here. You'll see if you can work out who the character is when the game starts playing in just a second. He's drawn these and attached the images, the things to here. Who's that, do you think? Anyone guess who the character is? Harry Potter, you'll be so pleased. I think he's watching us now, actually. But yeah, if you're looking for something to really engage kids with coding in the classroom, okay, you know, it didn't work right first time. you know? And this is actually in testing mode. So he's testing different parts work and seeing if he can sort of move around his level and all the rest of it. And again, this is another tool which is, you know, massively simple to use, but really scalable in terms of the learning opportunities that are there. And it doesn't cost anything either. The app's completely free. I want to talk about something else called Google Cardboard. And I'm going to be sort of wrapping up with this bit, really. Okay, but how cool would it be for you to go to your school tomorrow and say to you, any history teachers in the room at all? So, any sort of battles I'm sorry to categorize history, any battles you're studying at all, or places around the world? You want Hastings, yeah? So we can use Google Cardboard, okay? You can see I'm just building it up here now. It's a little viewer that you sort of drop your phone into. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pop my phone. That's not my phone, that's the microphone. I'm just going to pop my phone on the screen up here. So, give me a second. There's my children, look. And there's Twitter. And there's you. Okay, now, free apps again. Google Street View. Have we used Google Street View before? To look at your house, you know. So you wanted to go to Hastings, was it? Okay, so you just type in Hastings. Okay, hit done. Hastings, UK. Take a few seconds for it to just come up. Here we go, go into Hastings. There we go, and we can visit somewhere here in Hastings. So that's not, I don't want to go to Elwood Massage Clinic. Let's just zoom out a little bit, shall we? Let's just take Hastings Beach as an example. Okay. Just make sure that things are working quite right in 1 second. It's jumped onto the wrong Wi-Fi. 1 second, sorry. You just love it when the plan comes together, yeah? Do you know, if I was teaching year 9 on a Friday afternoon, it would not be this quiet, I tell you. Okay, so phone's back on. So what I'm going to do, because this is being a bit silly, I'm going to try something else. So Google Street View, what it will do, okay, is enable you to turn your phone around, pop it into the viewer here, so that when you look around, okay, you see sort of moving around as if you're actually there. So what I'm going to try and do is recreate that in a slightly different way, because it's not working right now. Probably because see, this is where it's all gone bad now. See, I've run out of data. My apologies, guys. This was working a few moments ago. Right. So the virtual reality bit, here we go. Let's try this one instead. So this is a dinosaur virtual reality app. It's called VR Dinosaur. Okay, and it doesn't cost anything, the app, it's free. And what we can do, can you see it's gone into sort of 2 panes there? So what happens is, and thank you for bearing with me, when we pop this now into here, if I pass that to one of you, take that a second. As you hold the thing up to your eyes and then look around, as she's sort of looking around, can you see that it's reacting? And what you'll find, if with this particular one, as you sort of point in one direction, so your character will walk forwards. And in this world, you can go through and you can find velociraptors and T-Rexes and what have you, and completely engage yourself in that world. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Okay. Now, what we're going to try and show you with the Google Street View app, okay, is that within the Street View app, okay, there are loads of panoramas that you can actually visit, and because it's Google Street View, it takes you anywhere in the world. Sorry, you've broken it. No. Let me just try something else, a different app for you. Discovery VR. Anyone afraid of heights? I don't want to scare you. Okay, so this one, again, which is free, called Discovery VR. Okay. Who'd like to swim with some sharks? Anyone want to swim with some sharks? I'll tell you what we'll do. Rather than do the sharks, let's do this one down here a second. Let's walk the tightrope and let's go over the Grand Canyon. So I'll pop that into there. I'll pass that to you. Hold it up to your eyes. Okay. Now, for the person using it, it'll be the right way around. For you guys, you're going to have to tilt your head, I'm afraid. Okay. What's happening though is, and if you could look down for me, if you just look down. So you're now walking over the Grand Canyon. Can you see the feet? Now this, I'll come back from you a second. Thank you. There are loads and loads of amazing opportunities to use something. To buy this from Google will cost you £15. If you go on eBay, you can get one of these for £2.99. Okay, it's just a bit of cardboard, really. And the apps work on Android, they work on Windows phones, they work on iPhones and what have you. Because it's just reacting to here. But my favourite one of the lot, like I say, and there are loads, and I'll take screenshots of these ones that are here and put them on Twitter on the hashtag. But the Street View is my favourite. And it's my favourite because how cool is it for you to go, right, today, we're looking at churches, let's say. Okay, we're going to go look at St. Paul's, but then we're going to sort of fly, we're going to have a whole class visit to New York, and then we're going to go somewhere else. You can do all that within the app because the Google Street View contains all of the panoramas and views from all over the world on Google Maps, doesn't it? Yeah, so you can use this so simply in your classroom. My favourite bit though is this plus button in the bottom right-hand corner. If you tap it and go to camera, you can actually make your own. So what you have to do, if you can see, is just line up the circle, like so, and you keep going round, keep finding all the circles, like this. Now, how many of you take kids on trips where you want them to, remember things about what they've seen whilst they've been on that trip? I'm sure lots of you do. If you were to do this on your trip, I'll stop it there. Can you see the progress bar going around the tick, yeah? You've got to basically fill that up. You press the tick. I'll do this now so you can see it, and it'll work a little bit for us now. Okay? But these, if you go on a field trip, if it's a geography field trip, a history field trip, if it's a trip wherever, if it's a year 6 residential, I've seen primary schools on year 6 residentials taking the kids away and then doing this and then tweeting the image so parents can actually immerse themselves and see where the kids are at when they've got there. So if I just tap onto this one here now, and we should, if I tap onto here, yeah, so you can see how that's working as I'm sort of moving around. So I'm able to, and that's not an actual photo. Okay, the camera, so look, my hand's here, this isn't the camera, this is the photo I've just taken. Yeah, so you can make all these just within the app, and if you want to, you can keep them on the device or you can push them online. So you can share them with the world. So I was lucky to work in Japan last summer, and I was able to, the train station in Kyoto is absolutely amazing. And so I did one there because of the architecture. It's seen by sort of 20,000 people. It's just a great way of sharing things out there if you want to do that as well. But it's so much, so helpful for learning. And that's the point I want to try and make. I know I've not made it look very easy tonight. That's because I couldn't connect my gear with the Wi-Fi. In your classroom, all you would need is something like this and something like this in order for it to work. I just want to say a massive thank you to bearing with me and being so kind, even though things haven't been my friend in terms of technology. But I want to sort of leave you with this main idea, really. If you want, let's try thinking about how we can share it to the world. Okay, this quote's here from Rushton Hurley. I might have used it last year, actually. It's still a real guiding mantra for me. If you want students' work to be good, okay, then if you're sharing their work with the world, they'll want it to be really, really good. If they're sharing it just with you, then they'll want it to just be good enough. Yeah? And so that's the sort of message I'd like you to take away. I've used quite a bit of technology in the presentation. Spark.adobe.com, Keynote, rather than PowerPoint, Ditty, Paper, Typorama, Twitter and Pinterest, Wi-Fi and Air Server. There might be one more. Yeah, Photoshop. I'm more than happy to share this presentation online on my blog and all the rest of it as well. I've seen some of you taking some photographs and what have you too. And I will definitely tweet those virtual reality apps as well, okay, because they're so amazing and so simple and easy to use. Although I've not done the best job of making it look like that today. I'm so sorry. So it leaves me to just finish off with a bit of another recap. Keep it real, keep it simple, and make it count. Gary, thank you very much.
Yeah, so do I, almost. I'm having a problem with technology, never mind. Before we get going, Mark said to me, it's all right, we're doing the program, let's sort the details out. Just give me 20 minutes. I won't take long, but I do go on a bit. It's now 20 to 7, so nice one on there. Okay, so we're going to do our first little award before we really kick off with the presentations here. There we go, seamless as ever. And we were looking through, and I tweeted earlier on and said, can we have the best en route to Teach Meet Devon selfie? And we've got a winner. So we'll have a little quick look at that now. It's quite disturbing, to say the least. Here we are. So would Paul Prescott, at Paul Prescott RE, would you like to come out and get your goodie bag for the most scary en route selfie? Can you just show us that again, please? Reenact what it was like. Nice, I like that. Okay, anyway, back to serious bits and bobs. We need to really kick off now, and this is very exciting. I've had the pleasure of previewing these presentations already. I would like to welcome Mr. Wing, ICT_ICT, Simon Wing. He's going to take the floor, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Hi, everyone. My name's Simon. I'm a primary school teacher from Pinhoe Primary School, just outside Exeter. I'm also the ICT coordinator there, and as you can see from there, also an Intel education visionary, which just basically means I'm quite fortunate enough to work quite closely with Intel and with some other visionaries from around the world, just to look at good practice in using technology in the classroom and seeing how that works around the world and sharing what we do. So that's me on Twitter there, and like Mark said, that's been the best CPD for me by a mile. I've learned so much from that in the last 2 years, you know, from people like Mark. There's so much good stuff out there. I highly recommend getting yourselves on. Right, so today, my presentation is just looking at ways in the primary school that I've used some special effects apps to try and create a really engaging stimulus for children to get them to write. It was a problem when I was at school myself. I just wasn't really engaged with writing at all, and I still see it a lot today particularly in the classroom, just trying to get children engaged with writing. And this is one way that I've used in primary school, which I find works. There's a number of apps that I've used on the iPad, but I know some of these are available on Android. That most of them are free, some cost a small fee. I'm just going to show you each of them really quickly, how I've used them in the classroom to engage writing. In terms of the impact that these have on learning, you can see from there, I've just picked out some keywords that I think sort of inspire, engage, get children's imaginations going. I use it mostly as a hook, as a stimulus, but thinking about secondary school, you could hand over those apps to the children and let them create and collaborate with each other to come up with sort of short movies, which they can then turn into writing. First one is called Photo Funnier. It's an app, it's really, really simple, just a photo editing app, and it just comes with loads of templates. And this is a breaking news template. And what you can do is put your own picture in the background and put your own news headline on there. And this one we use when we told the children that a monkey had escaped from the local zoo and he was somewhere around our school. So we started the writing off like that. And we then moved it on to use another app. So there, we told them that the zookeepers had set up cameras around the school and had seen the monkey running around, which gets the young kids hysterical. And you tie that in with a member of staff dressed up in a monkey outfit, running around the school making noises. The kids are totally engaged. So that's Creatures FX there. Okay, I've never used that in the classroom, but I've used that to scare a lot of people before. So I thought I'd share that one with you. My favourites, it's quite a popular theme for a writing stimulus to have these invaders from outer space come to your school, and we do the whole thing where we set up outside, sort of mock where something's landed and we've got slime outside and bits of spaceship on the ground. But if you tie it in with that special effect as well, some recorded footage of the ship above your school, it gets the kids really questioning, wow, is this really happening? Particularly the younger ones. I will say with this app, FX Guru, I wouldn't give the kids in primary school this app because there is some effects on there which are probably not suitable for them. But maybe secondary school, it would be fine. Okay, I love this one. We normally set this up with some teachers who have already brought some gingerbread men that you get from the supermarket, the ones that come with the icing, and we video them just finishing off their gingerbread men, and they're about to leave the room, and as they're leaving the room, you sort of follow them with a camera, get another member of staff to quickly whip those gingerbreads out the way, and then you turn around to say they've disappeared. But then we found this footage a bit later, and you show the kids, and you can just get so many questions, get them thinking, okay, where have they gone? Where have the gingerbread men gone? Who were those characters? Who are they running away from? It just gets the kids really talking and get their imagination going about what they could possibly write about what they've just seen. So this one's slightly different. This app, Zookazam, I've only fairly recently come across this, and it was via Twitter that I saw people using this. This is an augmented reality app where you just need a trigger, like a picture, to then set off this bird or creature that comes out of the picture that you use. So this could be used for non-fiction writing, because this app, just after this bit where the creature comes out of the book, there's a sort of narrative. You can click on a button and a guy comes on and starts giving you lots of facts about the creature. So as well as them getting it from the book, they can see it sort of come out of the book in real life. And there's loads of different animals on there that you can link to topics you're doing. So that one's, I really like that one. This one, the kids love this one. We normally start off with, right, we're going to do some writing today. Who's struggling for ideas? And lots of hands go up. And we say, right, if you come onto the magic carpet, and I'm going to freeze time, and you can leave your body and go anywhere you want to in the world. And where would you go? And you record them doing it. And then once they've left their body, you then, what I would do is use the green screen app, which you can get on the iPad, whereby you can place a child in front of a screen and put any picture or video you want behind them to make it look like they're actually there. So I often use Google Street View, as Mark mentioned, and lots of my boys, I say, where do you want to go if you could go anywhere in the world right now? And they'll say things like, oh, I want to go to the new camp. You go, right, okay, well, let's go. And then you put them there with the new camp behind them, and then you get them to talk about, well, what do you want to do next, and what can you see? And they talk about, oh, there's a football match going on, and then you get pictures of their favourite football players, and they're standing next to them. And you can take it in so many different ways. And then obviously at the end, you bring them back to class, and they retell their amazing adventure. So I've put the apps back on there again. The two I haven't really mentioned, the green screen I have just then. The last one, iMovie, I just use to tie it all together. It helps with some of the editing when you're creating things for the kids. They're all really, really easy to use, really, really quick, simple. And the last thing I want to leave you with is the best example I have of using pretty much all of these together was when I took some year 5 children, and we were studying the Vikings at the time. And I wanted them to create a Viking movie, so sort of tying everything they've learned about the Vikings, but make it into a fun blockbuster movie. And we said to them, if you do this, then we'll get parents in at the end, and we'll get popcorn, and you can watch it at the end. So we had 3 classes of year 5, all taking part, script writers, technicians, prop, everything. Most of them were in the film at some point, and it was 30 minutes long. And instead of getting them to watch it in the hall at the end, I actually phoned the local Odeon cinema and arranged for that movie to be played, a private screening in the Odeon cinema with all their parents with popcorn and sweets. And I still speak to the school today where I did it, and they still say that the children mention that as one of the best days I've ever had of learning. So that's me. Thank you very much.
That was quality. I love stuff like that. Brilliant, brilliant. We're going to speed through, but I just wanted to mention I thought I'd get in amongst it a little bit. I wanted to mention our sponsors and the prizes, because actually it's just been phenomenal this year. First of all, I'd like to thank School IP, who are at the back here. Say hello. They've arrived late because the sat-nav, funny that, underlying theme, technology is not brilliant tonight. Mr. Anderson got lost last year. So yeah, class charts, Discovery Education, IPvo, Kahoot, Independent Thinking, School IP and Class Dojo. We've got from School IP a £25 high street voucher. Amazon, okay, other online shopping sites are available, and a tablet. And during the break, if you would like to fill in, we'll be drawing a raffle at the end for those prizes. If you filled in the slip at the beginning, you will be drawn at the break for a book bag. We've also got a meal, a hut to the value of £100 for 2 people. We will be giving away shortly, and 2 wonderful USB visualizers. So that's pretty cool. The next goodie bag will be the best ice cream selfie during the break, and Mark can pick the winner on that one. Without further ado, Rachel, there's a story attached to this actually, because last year she was inspired by Mark, who challenged her to present at a Teach Meet, which she did the first time, I think, was at the DHSB Teach Meet. She was just doing a little warm-up, ready for the big one, which is Teach Meet Devon. By the way, we're trending number 5, most talked about in the UK on Twitter at the moment, which is awesome. Nice, I like it. Lots of people watching online. So Rachel, do a round of applause, please.
Ooh, thought I'd brave it on the stage. Okay. I am Rachel Kidson. I'm currently teaching at Cherston Grammar School, and I teach maths and psychology. But I've come here to talk to you today about teacher life hacks. Now, I don't know about you, but I can spend hours of my life looking at things like this on the internet. So things like removing strawberries with a straw, this one, and some of these I'm sure you'll recognize. What I tried to do was use this and turn it into teaching and think about what I know in teaching that makes life a bit easier, better, quicker for me. So I've come up with 3 teacher life hacks that I'm going to talk to you about today. These are things that, as I said, make it quicker, better, easier, all my teaching, and the students get more out of it. The first one is RAG 123. This is about not trying to read their minds. It's about actually gaining insight into what they're thinking when they've done their homework before you even get to mark it yourself. So this one is based on our school marking system of RAG 123, standing for red, amber, green, and then 123 for effort. So they're red, amber, green. They rate themselves green if they're really confident on the topic, amber if they're not so sure, and red if they really don't understand it, and then the 123 for effort. They write this on their work after marking it in class. So I use a few minutes at the beginning of a lesson. We mark their homework together. I do understand this doesn't work quite so well in other subjects. Maths does lend itself to self-marking like this. So they write red, amber, green, and 1, 2, 3, and they write a little learning comment underneath it. It means it's so quick for me to actually see their feedback. If I agree with their amber statement, I either underline it, I circle it, I initial it, I just tick it to say I agree. If not, I could write something slightly different next to it to say that maybe you're more green than you think. Reading their learning comment actually gives you such valuable insight into how they found it. So this person said, read the questions carefully, get better at problem solving, do workings more carefully so I can find them when I need them. So I've been able to see, without spending time looking through all his work and thinking about a target and feedback to write, I can just say, agreed, please lay your method out underneath your question. So it's nice, rich feedback, but with minimal effort from me. In another case in year 7, this girl wrote green 1 and told me that she wasn't very happy with question 4B. She said she tried it, but she still got it wrong. So there, I was able to spend my marking time, rather than going through ticking and crossing, instead actually giving her a detailed explanation of how to do question 4B, which she could then look at and review. And a final example, this one here, he said that he was quite disappointed and made a lot of silly mistakes. So there's a chance for me just to give some positive feedback where it's due, whereas you don't know that if they haven't taken the time to give that little learning comment to start with. I'm going to talk about those codes in a minute, because that's the next thing I'm going to come on to. Okay, just to show you, it can use in year 10s as well. I use this in my GCSE class of the year 10. This girl wrote amber and then spent a long time on it and had lots of help. They're generally a lot shorter learning comments, but they still give you an idea about it. And this group have decided to use gramber quite a lot. And I tend to write green/amber sometimes, or I'll just pick one of them and go for that in my mark book. Okay, the second teacher life hack is feedback codes, and this is what was on Callum's homework a little minute ago. This, again, speeds up the marking process really quickly. I don't like spending time marking, I'm sure no one does, so I try and make it as quick as possible. I find this has 3 main benefits. It makes marking faster, it focuses their attention, and it facilitates their improvement. I write on their homework, after their comment, a little target. Normally, I would have written something like the first one, read the question carefully. With codes, I can just write SF or CD. In this case, it stands for simplifying fractions or common denominators. And it's something that the student found tricky, but often it's the same thing that many students in the class found tricky, and I just have to write it in little initials on their work rather than writing it out every time. In this case, SF as well. I think that was significant figures in a different piece of work. I then either put it on the on the board at the beginning of class. I put all the codes up, and I either just put the target straight on it and students copy it down into their books. So if they got their book back and it had SF next to it, they'd fill it in with significant figures. This is the bit that focuses their attention, because it actually requires them to read it and think about what they're writing down and how they have to improve. Sometimes I just put all the codes up on the board and they have to guess what they mean, which actually makes them think about what common mistakes other people may have made, even if they didn't get it, which works quite nicely. And then this is something I do with my year 10s. I put the codes up, I put what they mean, but they can then do a starter specifically on that code. So if they needed another bit of practice on scale factor, or they needed an extension in problem solving, they can choose a starter based on their feedback from their homework. Okay, thirdly and finally, I use Google Forms a lot. I don't know whether you use Google Apps for Education at all in your schools. Our year 10s to 13 will have their own Chromebooks. So we're trying to use Google a lot in lessons, but this can all be done at home or even on their phones. What I do is at the end of every topic, so it's not necessarily every lesson, but it is every topic, I get my students to fill out a Google form. So this is free and for use. They rate themselves red, amber, green on their confidence, just like the previous one, and then 1, 2, 3 for their engagement. But they also add at the bottom 2 different questions. We've got what key information do you need to remember? And they can fill in any formulae, any rules, any kind of sayings, any rhymes, things to make them remember the topic. And then underneath that, anything you still struggle on with the topic. There they can input anything they feel like they need me to recap and go over another lesson, or that they'd like help on in a revision session. This then enables me, it goes on Google Classroom, so they can access it straight away from there, but you can share it with them via email if you needed to. And it goes straight into a Google Sheet, and it puts it all together nicely. I've just formatted those ones so I can immediately see who's on green, who's on amber and good. But at the end of a topic, I'll look over the sheet and I'll straight away go to this kind of last column and just see what they think they need to recap still. And that means you can then do a starter on that specific element the next lesson, knowing straight away it hasn't taken any time out of your lesson. It's 2 minutes for them to fill this in. They get really quick at it and they're so used to doing it by now. We do it every single topic. But what's best and what kind of really actually I think benefits them and makes it so much richer is when it comes to revision, I can give them each a copy of this. That's just some pie charts I took from it, and you can really quickly select the data, insert pie chart, shows you which topics you may need to revise a bit more. But come revision time, I sort it by name, so it gives me all of their results by their name, and I copy it into individual forms. That's the timely bit. It does take maybe 15, 20 minutes to copy it into all their forms. But once I've done that, they've each got access to a Google Sheet with all the topics we've studied, their confidence on all the topics, their revision notes, so any formulae they needed to learn, and what they found tricky about it. And they found that so helpful this year as a reminder, as a guide to revision. Some of them even changed the size of the rows and the columns so that they look like flashcards and printed them out, and then they could look through them for revision. So that's it. To sum up, it was RAG 123, feedback codes, and Google Forms. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. So there are lots of prizes available this evening. So this is an impromptu one, okay? I'd like someone who'd like to win a prize to come up here and stand on said stage right here and share like something that's absolutely brilliant they do in their classroom. No slides are needed. Just come up and share one idea, 1 minute to win a prize. Can I volunteer to share one idea? Brilliant. Up you come. Well done.
As well. I've never spoken at a Teach Me, but I've always wanted to. My new favourite thing is Quizlet, but it's the addition they added on in Easter, which is called Quizlet Live. So you have a set of Quizlet, you can create your own flashcards, or you can find someone else's. And as long as there's 12, there now appears a little purple icon. When you click the purple icon which says Live, it creates a game very similar to Kahoot. But unlike Kahoot, which has got a multiple choice of 4, Quizlet Live is a multiple choice of 12, so it automatically makes it harder. Now, the students then enter a 6-digit PIN and they Google Quizlet Live, and then it comes up just like Kahoot does. What's particularly awesome, though, is that they have to work together as a team, and Quizlet Live sorts them when they put their name in. But what I really like about it is the fact that they have to get 12 consecutive answers correct. If they get just one wrong, they go back to 0 again. So the element of competition is clear to everybody, but also what's really great about it is that they have to keep going and going and going with it, with that active repetition, so they end up learning it. And it's really easy because all you have to do is click the live button on Quizlet flashcards. So that's my one good idea.
Thank you very much. That's an IPEVO visualizer. Thank you to IPEVO for their prizes as well. And I can fully endorse Quizlet, which is available via the website, and there's a variety of apps available for that too as well. Thank you so much for sharing that impromptu idea from your classroom. Great for lots of different things. So next up we have Mr. Clark English, who's going to share with us about metacognition for instruction and assessment. Round of applause please for Josh Clark.
I just realised that I'm actually in control of that. I was looking for it, waiting to go. It's actually me, I think. Yes, okay. Is that on the stage? Oh, right, okay. Okay, so yes, my name is Josh Clark. I'm the Key Stage 3 English Coordinator at Heel School. Keep going? Okay, I'm on. So I'm going to try and be as quick as possible, just because I know we're meant to be on the break and there's lots of food around. So this is actually going to build a little bit on a presentation I gave at a previous Teach Meet, looking at metacognition, where I was talking about how we can use it for, as it says in the programme, instruction and assessment. I've actually built on it a little bit since I put that onto the programme. So it's going to focus a little bit on reading comprehension towards the end. Obviously, me coming from an English background, but I think that some of the findings can actually apply to any subject area. So hopefully everyone will have something to take away from it. Over there, he did tell me. Got it. Okay. So I've got behind me a photograph, but it's actually not a photograph. This was a painting that someone has done, certainly not me. I don't know about you, but in my classroom, I very often like to use models of good work for students to improve their own. And that's fine, but if I were in an art class myself and this was given to me as the model, I would still be none the wiser as how to recreate it. So actually, for me, metacognition, this process of making the thinking processes explicit and actually talking to students about how we get to the final model is even more important than the model itself. If I had an art teacher with me saying that, okay, to get to this, these are the steps to go through, maybe have a little practice of it, get better, then I might eventually get a little bit closer to this, which I certainly wouldn't just with the model alone. And this is what I'm getting at in terms of improving students' writing, really, but it could apply to any subject area. So, equally, it goes the other way. Certainly for me, sometimes a student, maybe a younger one in year 7 or year 8, might produce a really good piece of writing in a particular genre, maybe creative or analytical. And I might just think from that one example of really good work that they have absolutely mastered the particular style of writing or the particular skill I wanted them to get. However, if I were then to get them to do a similar task, but in a different context, all the good work could suddenly become undone. And that would show me that they may have produced something good once, but the replicability of that skill, their true learning, hasn't quite embedded. And so, anecdotally, some things I've done in my classroom to do with metacognition, which I'll talk about just in a minute, has been really useful in maintaining that sort of consistency in terms of taking learning into different contexts. So, I've said a lot of big words there. Metacognition really is thinking about our own thinking, making explicit what we're doing to get to the final product. It's about making ourselves aware of our own cognitive processes and, quite importantly, making us aware of what we're finding difficult. Because if we don't know what's going wrong, we can't actively and personally counteract that. So, as it says in the programme, I'm looking at, firstly, instruction and assessment. So in terms of instruction and teaching, I like to create models live in the lesson, if you like, perhaps demonstrating on the board my own very short response to a particular type of writing. It could be answering a question about a character, which I might write up there and then. However, what I wouldn't necessarily want to do is just stand there very quietly, write my good answer, and say, there you are, replicate, do something similar. It would be far more useful to get some metacognitive processes going and say, okay, I'm going to choose this word, because I think this has got a really good effect here. Or maybe even better, I started with this word, but I'm going to get rid of that. I think this one's slightly better because. I just draw out my own difficulties and show them how I'm overcoming them so that they can go through those same processes. I can also use that, as can anyone, to assess how they're doing. Similarly, I've at times had students come up to the board at the end of a lesson, do what I've done, and I'll say to them, okay, can you talk us through a bit of a question that you've done? Tell us what you found difficult. Tell us how you overcame that. And then very easily, I can tell if they've really understood what we're getting at in a much clearer way than if I just looked at their work, which could have just been a one-off, which they wouldn't have been able to replicate in a different context, perhaps. So that was really where I left it at the last Teach Meet on metacognition, and that was to do with writing. I think I do actually have a couple of examples of student work, if I move on. So I've got students to write a reflection on a creative poem that we'd all written, and it was using stimulus questions such as what did you find difficult, how did you overcome them, etc., or why did you make certain choices. One student came up with this. For example, in my poem, I felt restrained by syllable counts and rhyme. It restricted my options greatly and I didn't change anything here, teared apart the atmosphere I was trying to create. I've always thought of rhythm as a tool for building an atmosphere, and keeping it the same gave my poem a bland feel, as well as restricting my word options. To improve, I would get rid of both of these restrictions. So even if the poem wasn't great, I can see that they're thinking almost like a poet here. When we start analysing poetry, they understand how poets are trying to get across meaning. I'm going to slightly skip on just to save a little bit of time. There's just another example there. So to bring it up to reading comprehension, it's a particular problem in the context of our school, where in recent years English results haven't been where we'd want them to be. And a large part of that we've identified is to do with students able to comprehend text, specifically to infer meaning. And by that simply means going beyond what words literally mean, to look at their deeper shades of meaning, pick out nuance, that sort of thing. We're not entirely sure why that is. Reading comprehension literally is a very complex thing, but it could be that they don't have enough background knowledge to add certain meanings or associations to words. It might be that they just don't spend a lot of time genuinely thinking. Not sure, but it's quite important for us. Our new GCSE asks some very high-level comprehension questions involving evaluation. So, for example, one of the questions will begin with, to what extent do you agree? And there will be a statement that they have to argue for and against. Now, it's very difficult to do that if they haven't got different layers of meaning. So, I've been doing a little research study this year with 2 Year 8 classes. I was lucky to have both of the second set Year 8 classes in the year this time around, so I could do a little intervention study with a control group and an intervention group. Just a few quotes about reading comprehension there, which I'm sure the presentation will be available. I won't talk through now, just to underline their importance. In this study, I was looking at whether metacognitive strategies can actually have an impact on improving reading comprehension. So over the course of a very mini scheme of work, about 6 lessons, I had 2 classes of students in Year 8 take a reading comprehension test at the beginning. Both took the same test, and they took it again after 6 lessons. Now, those 6 lessons focused on teaching comprehension strategies explicitly, things that they can use when comprehending text. And those 3 things were summarizing, visualizing, and really trying to develop a mental picture of what they've been reading, and inferring. After those 6 lessons, they took the test again, exactly the same test, and I'll show you the findings in just a second. The intervention group had exactly the same treatment, apart from having what I've been calling thinking about our thinking plenaries, which I put in some metacognitive content, got them to actively reflect on the comprehension strategies that have been taught. So, I apologize for the sort of shortness of this, but just to get through. At the end of those lessons, the results were quite surprising. There were only 15 marks available on this test. It was nice and short at the beginning and the end. But after 6 lessons, the control group, the ones that didn't have the metacognitive input, did improve their mean marks. Not much, by half a mark, but on a 15-mark test, on average, it is still an improvement. However, the intervention group, with these metacognitive plenaries, where they actively reflected on the strategies that they'd been taught, improved by almost 1.5 marks, quite a large increase. And that told me 2 things. On the one hand, explicitly teaching comprehension strategies has some benefit because the control group increased, but it can be so much more beneficial to have that little metacognitive element as well. And that's where I think it applies to any subject area, because I'm sure pretty much everyone here deals with literacy in their subject to some extent. And it's really important to understand maybe what an exam paper is asking, or some text you need to read in your subject. So a few other things to pick out. It was really interesting digging into the data in terms of English and different layers of comprehension, that it did improve both their literal comprehension, so their ability to understand the meaning of the text, also in the middle their inferential comprehension, and that was the initial problem, whether they could develop these shades of meaning, and then also very, very marginally the evaluative comprehension. Now, of course, this is only a very small scale thing, so it would have to be replicated and done on a much wider scale, but in terms of seeing whether there might be the possibility of confirming what I'd found anecdotally with the writing, it seemed to be showing quite positive results. So I think I've pretty much just spoken through the implications, and I'm tentatively suggesting in the final bullet point there that just taking a bit of time to really reflect on how they can comprehend their text and to talk through and reflect on the strategies they're using could be really beneficial. And it's perhaps, well, it's certainly not something that I'd done before trying to investigate it this year. A few student views, they found the benefits. Obviously, I've selected the positive ones to put on today. But I quite like the third one down. I feel like putting the text into my own words, talking about summarizing, helped me to understand. And we did some visualizing activities that they've drawn as well. So I'm just going to leave it with this. It really boils down to putting the process of the learning ahead of the product and not always relying on the product to show evidence of learning. Thank you very much.
Incidentally, Josh got the worst selfie award last year. He was determined not to get it again. So this year he's going for the most blurry one by all accounts. Right, we're going to have a short break. The live stream's going to go offline. So all of those people around the world, stay with us for a little while. We're looking for the best ice cream selfie. Shortly, there's a bag, a Class Dojo bag by the cupcakes that if you've got the ITL voucher, can you fold it in half and pop it in that bag, and then Mark and I or someone will be drawing that later on. But please go across to School IP, because to be in for a chance of winning either the tablet or the Amazon online voucher, there's a few little bits and bobs you need to do there. Feel free to go out and mingle in the courtyard if it's not raining, and also buy some popcorn from our young entrepreneurs there. See you shortly.
Please be seated in 10, 10, 10, 10, 9, 9, 9, 9, 8, 8. Sit down, please. 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2. Okay, welcome back then. Thank you. Thank you for the ice creams and all the other fresh fruits and popcorn and all the rest of it. Thank you so, so much. So we had the best picture with an ice cream, best selfie with an ice cream competition over the break. And I believe we should have the winning image coming up on the screen here right now. Well done to Chris. Where's Chris? Brilliant stuff. I'm not quite sure what Chris has won, Gary. There you go. Ah, lovely, good back. Well done, Chris. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Chris and his lovely sort of thoughts there around perspective. I don't know if you can see this tweet over here. We've started a caption competition now. I've tweeted on the hashtag an app you can use to add speech bubbles. Really good free app called Balloon Stickies Plus. It's a fantastic app, you know, for lots of things in the classroom. Sort of key characters, put a speech bubble, get the kids to fill the speech bubble in with the quotes and things. But you can use it tonight for comedy value if you want to. I'm very sorry. Who was that in that picture? I'm very sorry that I've done that to you. Sorry, a bit. So next up then, we've got a bit of a draw. So, sir, could you just stick your hand in there, please? And tell me who that is.
Oh, it's Julia, and I can't actually see. Here we go. Tosteven.
Okay, Julia, if you could come up and collect your prize, please. Okay, so that's the ITL, Independent Thinking Limited, big bag of books. What's in there? I'll recognise them. That's fine. So there's the big book of independent thinking is Think Before You Teach by Martin Illingworth, which is really, really good. And we've also got Independent Thinking by Ian Gilbert, which is also really good. Loads of good thunk ideas in there as well. And I've got a chapter in this one. There is Another Way, the second big book of independent thinking, and an ITL bag as well. Brilliant stuff. Well done. Thank you. Thanks to ITL for supporting with that. Next up, we have Mr. English Teach, getting boys to engage with extended writing. So, Mr. English Teach is here. Here's the microphone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Roberts. Just before I start, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been here for 2 years as head of English at Tavistock College. Before that, I was at an inner city all boys comprehensive in Manchester for 8 years. We had very high percentage of FSM pupils and about 90% EAL and about 37 different languages spoken. So as you can imagine, I spent a lot of my time thinking about how to get boys to engage with extended writing. And funnily enough, I was a boy once as well. And as a 16-year-old boy, I wasn't particularly keen on getting involved in writing as well. So thinking about that progress and that journey gets me to think about how to develop these kind of skills in our pupils. So I'm going to take a look at possibly the most blandest PowerPoint of the evening as well. And this is some of the issues I'm going to look at in my presentation. I'm going to take a look at, to begin with, we're going to think about some of the issues, look at some of the research, what it tells us about boys and writing, and then some of my strategies, and hopefully there'll be a few things there you can take away and use in your own practice. The national picture, as we see at GCSEs, is there's a big gap between boys and girls. Although, if you look at subjects such as maths, you can see that boys are sneaking ahead and are usually a little bit ahead. Whereas when it comes to a subject where you've got a big impact of extended writing, the gap's there, it's a big gap, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So this is something that leads you to look at the research and think about why this might be. And the different stages of research, and it sounds, when you look at this, it sounds very stereotypical. It's a little bit like the cow and Devon theme we've got going on. It seems very stereotypical, and it seems as if you're generalizing, but this is based on lots of research, so it is something that's not just anecdotal. And in terms of genetics, lots of studies show that language acquisition in the womb and that girls are far more sensitive to sounds, and that's one of the reasons why perhaps boys are not picking up these skills at an earlier age. When we look at primary school, there's the question about whether there's a lack of male role models, so that reading and writing is seen as a very feminine activity. And then also you see the situation that perhaps the socialization that parents, when they're making choices about what they give to boys and the way they bring up boys, so boys might be given sports kit instead of books as a gift, but it might be given to girls instead. And then also when we see boys interacting outside of school, we see that they tend to be either very much team-based in a group kind of situation, or something very isolated, such as gaming, which they're far more likely to become addicted to than girls. So you get this thing that's very much a distractive element for them, compared to girls who tend to be a lot more communicative in their social lives. And we see this then when it comes through to the attitudes to schools, where when in schools, boys tend to be very much afraid of failure and see it as a real barrier. And it's something that they're very anxious about, avoiding failure, whereas girls tend to see it as a learning experience that's there to be developed from. And I think this very much plays into writing. It's a real key thing of extended writing, as we're going to show you soon. And also we'll see that it tends to be that girls really value the clarity of expression, and they're very much able to focus and willing to focus for longer periods of time as well. And I think one thing that I've noticed, particularly over time, is that boys tend to overestimate their ability and think that it'll be fine on the day and work less hard because of it, whereas girls do the opposite. They will think, I'm not particularly good at writing, so I need to put more effort into it, and then we'll get the better results. So these are some of the things that we see. And we've done some research ourselves in Tavistock College staff, and we found that the barriers to learning with boys often come when we get to the writing stage, particularly when you're asking them to do extended writing tasks. So when you look at that all together, it seems to be a real toxic mix, a real sort of doom and gloom. The picture of the girls is taken from the Daily Mail, obviously, so that's why they're jumping up with a midriff out. So you see this situation where for to do something, and we need to put in these strategies that have got a significant impact to try and overcome all these barriers that are in place. So here's some of my practical strategies that I've used throughout the years, and some of them will probably seem really obvious, and other ones maybe less so. And the first thing I want to say is, please give them a pen. If they come in, if it's the same pupil, the same lad who's 17 times on a row has come in and not brought a pen, however frustrating it is, however annoying it is, please just give them one. You're asking them to write, give them the tools to do so. The second strategy is to think about chunking tasks, and we talk about chunking quite regularly, but I think that people often have this perception that chunking means doing less, whereas I think it's actually psychologically likely to bring about the opposite. So for example, if you say to a pupil, here's a task that I want you to do for 30 minutes, it's going to take about 4 paragraphs, off you go. Whereas if you break it down and you're giving them a little 5-minute section or a 7-minute section, and then you'll stop and you'll work and you develop on it and give them some feedback, what you'll find generally is that over the course of the lesson, they've done more if you've broken it down in this way. So it's a way of tricking them into doing more work without them realizing. And odd numbers is an interesting one because boys, again, scientifically respond more to odd numbers. Nobody really knows why, but that's often why I tend to use 3, 5, 7, 9-minute little activities in my task, in my lessons. It works really well. So when it comes to the getting down and writing stuff on the page, I'm going to ask you which looks most inviting here. We've got what I call the fear of the blank page, and boys feel this more than ever because of this anxiety of failure. Or the next option is to break it down into chunks where it's more appealing, it's something that they can then go through, and boys like to tick things off and notice that they're gradually filling space as they go along. And it's different psychologically from doing paragraphs. So that's the first thing. The first strategy is to look at these kind of chunks. The second one builds on from what Josh was talking about, and he explained it really nicely in the last section, is this idea of really modeling the whole writing process. And this is something that I do, and it's that very much that metacognitional approach. I tend to do it in a slightly different way where I'm modeling it at the same time getting pupils to develop on my ideas whilst I'm modeling. So it's very much the same as what Josh was talking about. I'll be at my computer and I'll be typing away. We'll start with a blank page and I'll have my big screen up there, and I'll be very much thinking aloud throughout the entire process and asking them to engage and advise me as I go along. So I'll begin with thinking, move on to planning, move on to drafting, editing, and redrafting, and break down each of these 5 stages for their benefit. So if we look at this example GCSE PE question, and it's the kind of thing that is going to require, to get those 8 marks or to get a decent go at those 8 marks, they're going to have to do something quite lengthy there. So explain how developing the different types of strength may improve Ben's performance in gymnastics. So beginning with that, you start thinking aloud and thinking about, okay, what am I going to need to do to answer this question successfully? How am I going to be able to set this out in a way that makes sure that I'm going to be meeting the success criteria? And then thinking about the planning aloud. How am I going to start? Do I need a paragraph to begin with that's going to be an introduction? Is there a spag element on this? Really going through the process and modeling it and getting them to contribute whilst I'm doing it. Because I think that the biggest thing that you can do for boys is to allow them insight to your kind of expert thinking. The next stage is the drafting, trying to get them to contribute sentence starters. I'll start one. Is that a good sentence starter? Have I begun with that? Can someone develop that? Can someone give me a better one? And working through this process, moving on to the editing, putting in some deliberate mistakes for them to pick out. Boys really enjoy doing that, enjoy correcting the errors that you've put there. So if you can stick in a few deliberate faux pas, they really like that. And boys are quite reluctant to redraft, but I think if you take them through this stage and you show them the benefits of redrafting, they really do tend to buy into this. So it's taking a step back and thinking about, does it make sense as an overall piece? What could we do to tweak it and make it different? And let's do something now to do those improvements. And this is something that Josh touched on, is about this idea of the exemplars and showing them. If you're asking boys to create a piece of work, you need to let them know what the shared success criteria looks like. And I think that it's not just important to give them really good ones, you've also got to give them quite average ones that they can then develop and improve on. So this example from a GCSE science bit of writing. So it's got things in it that's going to get them marks, but it needs to be developed, it needs to be improved. And the next stage would be to say, okay, let's pick out a bit that you think's not as good, and I want you to say, take 2 sentences and then develop it and improve it. So they're seeing things that reaches a certain benchmark, but then they can take it on a different level. What's really important though, and people often overlook this stage, is that you've got to at some point remove these scaffolds, and you've got to do it within a reasonable time scale. So often pupils and boys in particular will become over-reliant on these frames. You need to at some stage stop the chunking, take away the sentence starters, take away the writing frames, and you have to do it early enough within the course or in a lead up to an assessment or coursework, or whatever it is, to give them the opportunity to build up their stamina. And at this stage, you need to think of them as if they are marathon runners. When you start planning for a marathon, you'll go out for a jog to begin with, or you might do a few sprints and a few miles. And eventually, by the time you've come to do the marathon, the exam or the assessment, or whatever it may be, you need to have pretty much done the marathon. So it's about building up this stamina gradually. If you try to get boys to do this to begin with, you're throwing them into the deep end and they'll freeze, they won't be able to engage with it. So you're writing for longer periods, you're doing it against the clock eventually as well. This is important because often what you'll find teachers do is say, well, okay, you probably got about 15 minutes to do it in the exam, but I'll give you half an hour to do it so you can get everything done. And that's not useful for them in the long run. They need to be able to work against the clock so that they can deal with the pressurized situations. And gradually increase the quality of those exemplars. So to begin with, you're giving them quite middling average ones as well as the top end ones. By the end, you need to be giving them really good quality ones that have just got a few little things where they're going to have to work hard to find the improvements. You're gradually stretching them. Underpinning all of this, I think, is the importance of immediate feedback for boys. One thing that I've found over time that they're less prepared to do is to wait a week to find out if it's any good. You do a paragraph for them, they do a paragraph for you, sorry, that if you're saying, okay, I'm going to turn it around in a week and you'll find out, they've lost interest by then. Whereas if you can give them immediate verbal feedback, focusing on what's gone well, but more importantly, the target, this is the one thing that will make the biggest difference to you right now. And whilst I'm circulating in my classroom, I've got my pen in my hand and I'm deliberately going around and giving them really quick targets, marking, so that they are given little prompts such as single words, why, explain, develop, now, turn it into a paragraph, things like that, which are going to give them this immediate motivation to respond rapidly to what they've been doing. Two things about that. First of all, it's removing any misconceptions that they may have, and they really respond to knowing what's gone right straight away. The second thing is it improves their motivation to go on and develop their work there and then. Otherwise, the moment's passed. I'll show you a quick example of what this looks like. So this is a piece of work that a pupil did in my English class, a very, very reluctant writer. And I managed to get him to do the first paragraph in about 5 minutes with a few well-chosen prompts, just the odd word here and there. He's managed to do a second paragraph that's vastly improved from the first one, and it's pretty much changed the whole thing from a D to a C within the space of a few minutes. And then they've got success, and then immediately they start to feel as if they can go on and look for the next paragraph and the next win. So I think overall, if you can put some of these strategies into place, it's the kind of thing that in time will give boys confidence and will overcome some of those issues that we've looked at the start. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So, just before I introduce the next person to come up and share with us, I want to talk to our online viewers. Hi. Apparently we've got a whole lot of people joining in. I've seen lots of people sort of tweeting about the event as well. So we're going to have an online competition. I'll say this slowly, loudly and clearly. We are going to have an online competition. So if you are watching Teach Meet Devon tonight from home, from the bathroom, from the bedroom, from the car, wherever it is you're joining us from, can you please share your funniest teaching moment, okay, using the hashtag TMDevon between now and the end of the Teach Meet, which will be about 45 minutes. So get on Twitter, share your funniest teaching moments, okay, on hashtag TMDevon, and we'll pick a winner, and there'll be a lovely prize for you, which will come out to you, like Simon, CLC Simon won last year, I believe. Yeah, so you can win, but not Simon. Okay, so listen, it gives me great pleasure, everybody, to introduce somebody that I met last year. I came a bit earlier last year, and Gary gave me a bit of a tour. And I got to meet the next presenter down in his classroom, talk about some of the things that, some projects he was involved with and what have you. And, you know, I'm really lucky in what I do. I get to visit loads of schools, but it's not as often that I get to see people who are so genuinely into their subjects as this gentleman is. Some of the projects he was doing, I found really inspiring as well. And he's here now going to share some things with you from his classroom. So up to stage, please. At Pie in the Sky 2015, but we can call him Elton. Elton, you want to come on up with your business? Well, round of applause, please. What are you doing to the sheep?
Well, you made him look really nervous. I thought I'd utilise him properly tonight. Hang on. Cheers. As Mark said, Mark came here last year, and he did actually inspire me. We had some good fun last year, and he made me think about how I teach and what I do. So I'm here to talk about computing, engagement, and technology. I'm stayed away deliberately from the iPads and all the other bits and pieces, because I know Mark's into all of that. So I've just gone purely for trying to engage students using their technology. Yeah, we need, as educators, to embrace the technology that's around us. There's a lot of it. I was, and still am, quite nervous, so bear with me. So I brought my little mate up here for a little bit of moral support. So you'll see what he does in a minute. I just forgot to turn him on. Budgets are really, really stretched. So expensive iPads being used as expensive digital cameras, personally speaking, are a little bit of a waste of money. I don't like them in the classroom, although I have one. So we do other things. We need to get our classroom with the technology moving from the photograph at the top to the actual lesson that's going on at the bottom. That was, well, what's there? There's groups of year 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we were doing a live lesson with the US, which is fun. And the problem we had when I first started here was lack of engagement in ICT. I don't know about most of you guys, but you come into ICT and they sit there and go, PowerPoints, PowerPoint, PowerPoint, PowerPoint. But how do we get them to change? Embrace the technology that's around them. All the kids walk around constantly. In fact, there's Mrs. Neal in one of our after-school clubs using Minecraft. And she looks really bored. To be fair, she was. But the kids come into our classroom, they've got phones that are expensive. They're more expensive than the computers that we use. They're used to everything being instant. And we can talk about writing frames and things like that, which are brilliant. But we need to engage them with the technology. Like the kids, I play video games. So how can I utilize the video gaming culture that we have with learning? And that's something that's led me to a few sort of academic writings. A guy called James Porgy wrote a book about what video games can teach us. And if you watch children now, they sort of make a mistake in their book, they tear it up, they start all over again. And you think to yourself, but why? What are they doing? And sitting there, and I was playing my video games, and I put hundreds of hours into games. I get better at it, I move forward, I buy the next one, and so on. And that's what the kids do. But that's what we want them to do with education. So we need to work out how we can actually engage video gaming in our lessons. Or not so much video gaming as in playing them, but the essence of why do kids actually learn video games? Why do they play? So, good, now we go. One of the points that he makes was that good video games provide users with information on demand and as needed, and not out of context. If you look at our displays, if you walk around the actual school here, there's lots and lots and lots of displays. What do they tell you? They don't tell you anything. They're just bland, boring pictures on a wall. There's no life to them. So if you take those I actually took these, I think it's Twinkle or something like that. I took it from, but they don't do anything. They just tell me that that's a picture of a mouse. What does a mouse do? So I use in my classroom augmented reality and Orasma. Hence why I brought this thing up here on the stage. I'm hopefully going to try and demonstrate what augmented reality is for those that don't use it. But it's a simple app that basically I can take a trigger image like this one and hope it works. This is where, there you go. So I've taken a simple image and I've overlaid a video behind it. So for those of you that don't understand Tetris, there's Tetris. Just very simple. My entire classroom is augmented. If I'm teaching pixels now with the children, they can go to the pixel picture and they can actually play a video behind it. They can use their phone. What's the point in having a £400 or £500 phone in their pocket if we don't use them? Philippa, sitting over there, bless her, she's actually taken this on. And I did the NQT session with her a little while ago, and she's really taken it forward and has really gone nuts with it. And it is good, isn't it? Yeah. And she's using it again in her final obs, I think, next week, which is great. It can really enhance the classroom. I tried this before I worked here, and I was working at Torquay. I tried it in the classroom there. It didn't quite go as well. I'm not sure if the school setting works as well in other places, but here I'm given the creative freedom to do pretty much most things. So we tried that. And like I say, we can then actually make our pictures come to life. We can have the children behind us, actually behind the pictures, showing the work that they do. It's great. We can augment the homework books. Wouldn't it be nice to send a homework sheet home with an actual video embedded on it with how to do it? A video of us talking. Flip that classroom back to them. No more of them saying, what am I doing? Well, watch the video. It tells you. Another few other things that we do as we're going along. Here we go. Good games are capable of presenting users with tasks that are challenging, but at the same time doable. I use Raspberry Pi. I'm a big Raspberry Pi fan. I did the Raspberry Pi certified course with the Pi Foundation last year, and we've taken it on. As Mark said earlier on when he came on, we actually put one into space in October. That's the actual Pi. It cost me 18 quid, and it got 106,000 feet, which is really, really good. If you're not sort of good with these sorts of things, again, the Pi Foundation do some amazing support for it. They're brilliant. There's an awful lot of resources available. The people are out there all the time creating resources to share with others. So if you're a basic novice with them, if you've never seen one, I've got a couple here. I've got a little bag of goodies over here, so bear with me. This is how much of a nerd I actually am. This is my personal case that goes everywhere with me. I even made it as well. There we go. I've got 2 Raspberry Pi computers in there, a couple of little hats, some battery packs, some electronic kits, everything that you could ever want to set up a computer system, networking, anything that you really, really want is all in there. That's why it's still working. Okay, there's some photographs coming up in a second of our pie in the sky, and you'll see the actual engagement in the students. We got kids that otherwise wouldn't have been in our classrooms, in at break times, in at lunch times, in after school, and we did that for next to no money. It was great. We don't cost the budgets anything. Okay. So good games convert the users into creators. Well, that's a great thing. Most video games come with the idea that you can build your own levels, you can build your own worlds. So why are we doing all the planning? Let's get the kids to do it. By utilizing the student voice, I and one of my colleagues have completely redesigned Key Stage 3 with their help, hasten to add. They came up with the idea of stretch and challenge. They came up with the gold, silver, and bronze. They came up with one learning aim for all. And then everybody's got something else that they can do. Easily measurable, easily evidenced. It's great. Nice and color-coded. Each of our colors actually fits with a strand of the curriculum. It's nice and simple for rag marking and things like that. Another toy I've got, I say toy, for those of you that do have iPads and don't want just a digital camera, there's Osmo. This I've only had for a couple of days. It's actually my wife's, but it does art, maths, English, computing, and it opens up the curriculum to those less able, those with extra needs for education. It makes it really accessible. As I say, we use a lot of robots. This is part of my nerdiness that I do use a lot of these things. This is actually my personal one, as are most of the robots that I use. And poor old lad, bless him, if you watch. He does speak as well, using the new microbit that we've just handed out to the Year 7s. We 3D printed some stuff, and thought I'd bling him up a little bit, make him a little bit Beastie Boy-esque. I've got lots and lots and lots and lots of robots here. I've got Big Track. We've got the B-bots for the less able. Then we've got the NXTs, each getting progressively harder. The BB-8 is great. Mark showed me a Sphero last year, and I immediately went and bought one. If you haven't seen one, there's one. It's IDI, it's DIDI, and it's fully programmable. So you can have a lot of fun with that. It's really a good laugh. We also do an awful lot of 3D printing. We've teamed up with a fab lab in Devon, and we are just received 3 new printers. And as you can see, I use it an awful lot. But in the bottom corner there is Jeeves. Jeeves is a product concept. There he is. Designed and 3D printed by us in the school. The kids made everything. They programmed it using Raspberry Pi. I did absolutely nothing with that. Kids did it. It works brilliantly. You'll see he can be controlled by the Wiimote. He's not working at the moment because the Wii's connected to something else. But he's brilliant. If you're not very good with programming, there's Scratch. There's all sorts of other things that you can do on it. It's just brilliant. There we go. So there's a few other things that we've actually done. Some nice actual 3D prints up there. They're great. Now, this is my classroom. When was this? This was 3 weeks ago. There's a big difference. They're all sitting around playing Raspberry Pis. Most of them are actually physically programming. Proper program, Python programming code, using resources that we've created, and they're affecting a video game live. It's great. The engagement's superb. Now, James, the students all said to me, we're a bit like Jedi. So every Jedi needs a drone or a little droid all of his own. So give him a nudge, he's stuck on the wire. Come on. He's going the wrong way. Hang on. I love technology, it's great. But this is one we made in my classroom, me in the field. You have to excuse, I've got one squeaky wheel. And this is the reference that Mark made earlier on to the R2-D2. Here he comes. It's not bad what you can do with a shower curtain and a bit of paper mache, is it? We got him? Yeah? Not just that, but he does talk. Now, I know that that disappoints some of you. And she knows who she is. That's all he does at the moment, much to Mrs. Harry's disgust. There is a new lid being made for him in fiberglass, and I've just ordered a micro projector to go in his lid as well. So I was hoping it would be here before so I could actually have Princess Leia projected across the floor, which I thought would be quite cool. But there we go, R2-D2, made by me and my students in the classroom not far from here. Okay, just by utilizing the principles of video gaming, we can actually do, I know he's got a wonky wheel. I've just got to take him away, otherwise I get very sort of like protective. He's been in my lounge for a little while. My wife was very upset. But yes, just by utilizing a few principles of video gaming, we can actually engage the students. You've seen proper evidence of it in the classroom. We've gone from nothing to having 30, 35, 40 children in my after-school clubs on a Thursday. We have 2 rooms, 2 computer rooms full every break and every lunchtime, as Mr. King will actually testify to. He comes over and regularly sees it and likes playing with the toys. I think that's really what it does. So that's pretty much me. Again, this is all available to anybody else should you want it. I've got to spend 2 seconds just to clear the stage, so I'll hand over to Gary. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're going to speed through now because I know that everyone here is a stickler for time. I have to, though, because my little lad stayed up to watch me. I'm a proud dad moment. Hello, Freddie. Make sure you go to bed now, so when I get home, I can go to sleep as well. Okay. Right then, Toby. He has a book coming out soon, and he's going to talk to us about why testing doesn't have to be evil. I like it. Mr. Histoire, you can say that bit.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Toby, our history teacher at Torquay Academy. So testing, a lot of people think testing's really evil. There's lots of stuff at the moment, there's lots of stuff in the tests recently about Key Stage 2 tests being evil, and I think we can talk about whether they're appropriate, we can talk about the timing, we can talk about how difficult they are, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, I think. So we don't like tests often because they're seen as kind of dehumanizing, because they turn children into robots, don't they? And they're from some kind of horrible planet of hate where we try to destroy children's souls, apparently, and tear their eyes out. And we don't like tests because they're not real world, they're artificial, they don't do real world problems. And we don't like tests because they don't understand the whole child, whatever that is. And there are lots of reasons we don't like tests. And also, we think that actually our judgments are probably much better, aren't they? Because we know the children, we know what they can do, we know what they're able to do in our lessons. We understand how they write, we know when they have a bad day. Okay, we know what's going on at home, so actually tests are really unfair. We've got a couple of quotes there. People who said apparently that tests are really bad for kids who come from difficult homes. Tests apparently are really bad for kids who have English as an additional language. I know not such a problem, but tests apparently are really bad for people who have on free school meals. And yet, research says the complete opposite. All our research says that's not true at all. everything we know about how children do in standardized tests show us that actually it's the complete opposite. And we have this kind of teacher bias because we like to think we know our children so well that tests must be a terrible thing, but maybe not. I'm sure lots of us at the moment are filling in data for the next couple of weeks. How many of us are going to be in the rush where we end up, frankly, making snap judgments because of how we know our children that actually perhaps are unfair? Sometimes we'll underestimate, but perhaps we'll also overestimate as well. And actually, that's not helpful to anyone. It's not helpful to them, and it's not helpful to us. Some interesting things there, but also when we're marking something like, imagine a controlled assessment. I know they're sort of on the way out, but I have genuinely had conversations for over an hour about whether a piece of coursework is a 14 out of 20 or a 13 out of 20. And that's a problem. I have once been told by a lead examiner that something I gave him a piece of coursework to check. What do you think? He said, A star. It's definitely an A star. Right? And this guy in charge of it. I'd given it a D because it hadn't answered the question. It was written really well, but it hadn't answered the question, frankly. And that happens quite a lot. That's a real problem. How often do we misinterpret mark schemes? How often do we make mistakes under pressure? Standardized tests don't do that because, well, actually, they're blind marked and they're anonymized. They should be better. They should be fairer. And I know that's not what everyone likes to hear, but that seems to be the case. Now, a really weird thing is, I was having a chat with some quite high people in Ofsted the other day. And they said to me, in Ofqual, sorry, and I was told that exam boards really want to use multiple choice questions, but they know that teachers won't like them. Now, I can see a couple of people going, oh no, I can see a couple of you going, no, I like them. And I wonder if that's a legacy of a kind of hoop jumping rubric that so many of us have got used to. You must use these phrases. I know that until last year, in a certain exam board for history, if you use the word furthermore, you automatically get a tick. You automatically get a mark. What? What's that about? So, two things, just two little ideas, okay? Because I'm going to be super, super quick. Two things first thing we're doing at Torquay, and the second thing I'm going to start trialing at Torquay, Denise. So, knowledge organisers. A lot's been written about knowledge organisers. Here is an example. This is Year 7, the last cycle for Year 7 this year. The question, how far-reaching were Henry VIII's choices? And what this is, the key knowledge that Year 7 need to know for history. Okay, and all of them get that, and they get to stick that in a book. Next year, we're rolling it out at Torquay. Every single kid in Year 7 and 8 is going to get one of these for each of their teaching cycles. And it's the core knowledge for that unit. So, for example, I have key dates. I have made a terrible mistake there where I put Elizabeth II and it's Elizabeth I. I've got key dates, I've got a map, I've got key ideas and concepts, and I've got key people. And what I do, start of every single lesson, is I test. Low stakes, super, super quick testing, and I'll do it 3 or 4 times. Well, what I will do is say, you've got a minute to have a look, then I'm going to take away a bit. So, for example, you can see on key people there, taken away a section. I'm going to take away this part. Off you go, who are the key people? You've got 2 minutes. 1 to 12, off you go. 1 to 13, off you go. And we just go for it, go for it, go for it. And then I stop and I just race through the answers. Right, William Tyndale, Thomas Cranmer, Thomas Cromwell. And I just go, 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 go. Okay, and then we'll do it again. And we just go over and over and over and over and over. Now, there are so many benefits of this. All right. Number one is the key knowledge. So they're just getting used to it. All right. It's that sort of fingertip knowledge or residual knowledge, which they can just use without having to think about it. Number two, because I number them, I can jumble them up. So I can change things, change it around. So I might instead keep the keywords up, take away the descriptions and say, right, I want you to give me the archbishop who was burned in 1556. Now I want you to give me Cardinal Wolsey's lawyer. Now I want you to give me a person who wrote an illegal Bible in 1384. And they then have to give the names, and I can keep jumbling and jumbling and jumbling. It's super, super quick. They see it as quite fun, but what they also see is they immediately improve. And so I've got to the point now where I will say, right, we're doing it again. They go, again? I say, yeah. Say, why? We know it now. Yeah, you know it now. That's the point. Like, we've done it 10 times. Yes. And now you're all getting 100% every single time. There we go, I've done my job. That's brilliant. That's great. So there's no pressure, and it becomes a basis of absolutely everything. All right, so they all have these. Next year, we're going to roll it out with practice books that they can take home and all sorts. And it also becomes a basis for their knowledge tests at the end of each cycle as well. So it's absolutely fab. If you want to know more, at the end there are some links, and this is on my blog, mrhistoire.com, and it's all up there. Okay, but Joe Kirby has written loads about this from Makeda School. Go and read his blog, Pragmatic Education. Fantastic. The other thing which I've started to look at is an idea which is not new, but is people are starting to talk about now a bit more. Comparative judgment. So multiple choice questions and simple quizzes won't work every time in a subject where you need to write. Right? In history, I need to write a lot. But that obviously creates lots of marking. So what can I do? What can I do? Well, I can create some kind of fancy rubric with all these different skills and all sorts. But number one, I don't believe in skills in history. I don't think they exist. And number two, there's still that problem of misinterpretation. So what about comparative judgment? The idea is I take two essays. I just randomly stick them next to each other. Because humans, weirdly, are really good at making snap decisions, like, which shall I spend time with, the bunny rabbit or the ravenous? We're really good at that kind of stuff. I can look at them and go, that one's obviously better. I don't need to know why for the minute. I just know that one's better. So that one goes over there. This one goes over here. Another two. That one's better. That goes over here. This goes over here. And I keep going until I've done, I don't know, 50. And it's taken me no time. By the way, I don't really believe in marking, so that also helps. It's taken me no time. And then I get a colleague to do it as well. Suddenly I've got 100 comparisons. Then I get a final history teacher to do it as well. Suddenly I've got 150 comparisons, and we've got this rank order of what's really, really good and what's not so good. And maybe we can't verbalize it straight away, but we can see it, and then we can show the kids, and we can use like these great visualizers here. We can use them and say, right, this is brilliant. We think this is the best one. Even better, though, there is a website called nomoremarking.com, and you can upload it, and professionals and professors and doctors and all sorts in certain subjects will do it for you. And they will come up with the judgments for you. And if you want to start looking at grades and I see people going, oh, hello, writing this down. If you want grades and things, that's fine. You can stick in an exam board example answer. You can stick in what the exam board says as a C. You can stick in what the exam board says as an A. You can stick it in. You could write it up yourself or get someone else to write it up and see where would you put it. Because I'm sure we've all looked at exam board answers and gone, well, that's an A. I certainly have. So it's something I'm starting to look at, especially this week, as this morning I was handed 200 essays. So I'm definitely doing that tomorrow. May I suggest that you definitely have a look at these people. Heather Fearns talked about reliability and validity of testing. James Theobald has got this great selection of knowledge organizers. Joe Kirby talks all about multiple choice questions and knowledge organizers. David Idell's been talking a lot about comparative judgment recently, and Daisy Christodoulou is absolutely superb on assessment. And if you haven't watched it, do watch her piece on assessment from Education Fest last Friday, because it's absolutely marvelous. That's me. Thanks very much. I think it was just under 10 minutes. Cheers. Thanks for listening.
So next up, thank you, is the man with not enough hands. We've got Dan Roberts sharing with us next. But before we do that, I was going to run down the back here. Nina from School IP is going to pull out a name from this bag here. Just one this time, yeah. And the person whose name comes out will be winning a £25 Amazon voucher. And the winner is, drum roll please,
Katie Mara Ogle?
Casey? Yep, brilliant. Thank you very much. Let's cover me quickly. Get him a step count up today, look. I'll come to you. It's all right. There you go, thank you. So next we have somebody that I met, God, I don't know how many years ago now. He's worked not too far from here. He's been abroad and come back again. He's now head teacher. He's been inspiring me for years as well. Please welcome up onto the stage, Mr. Dan Roberts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I haven't got enough hands now, so I'm going to put this clicker down, but we don't want to lose that. I haven't got any slides anyway. I need a few friends, if that's okay. So I'm going to ask for 2-3 volunteers, perhaps. I've got a backup in case nobody's brave enough, or if I was thinking about trying to incentivize you, but my theme for my presentation is the 80. Does this pass the healthy schools things? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Tom. One more person. I've got 3 WAM bars, so come on, join the long queue. Gary, thank you very much. Gary, hope you come. Yeah, thank you. We'll do this. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, good.
Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you for volunteering. Here's your WAM bar as well. It's dentists recommend these WAM bars. There you go. Thank you. So just in case we didn't get anyone, I've got someone who can help model what you're going to do. So this is the robot. This is thanks to Stephen Heppel. He's a very famous ed tech guy. I'm just going to play the robot for you. Just watch carefully. Just have a look at him. Okay, that's enough. Right, if you come around here, Tom, what I'd like you to do now is, and this is a most stable activity, I should have told you that before actually. I'd like you to dance like a robot, and you can do that however you want. I've just tried to model a good, can we cue some music please? You ready? Okay, that's enough, thank you. I did say it was the most stable activity, but thanks, round of applause. No, stay here please, Tom. Okay. So one of the things I'm going to look at is, because it's a most stable activity, and it's linked to what Josh and a few other presentations today were saying, which was looking at more higher order thinking and sort of evaluation techniques and metacognition, reflect on the process itself. So first of all, I'm going to get you, it's Denise, isn't it? Yeah. I feel like a bit like some sort of dodgy magician. Denise. Denise, could you self-critique your own robot dancing to try and defend and justify how good it was?
I liked the way I kept a straight face because I don't think robots smile very often. But I did notice one of my movements was a bit too fluid.
That's excellent. Well done on your self-critique. And I'm going to move on. What's your name?
Freddie.
Freddie, I'm going to pick on you because I know. Actually, should I pick on Tom or Freddie? Freddie. Okay, good. Freddie, we'll pick on Tom via you. Can you please critique? So what you're doing now is your peer critiquing. So what I want you to do is almost analyze. Just analyze his performance for us.
Yeah, no, it was almost embarrassingly good. I think you've clearly been practicing. Yeah, in fact, I think you almost showed us up a little bit too much. I don't think you were playing the game, and really, I think that showing up your classmates can lead to bad feeling in a peer group. So I think next time, just dumb it down a little bit.
Thanks very much. Excellent feedback. Thank you, you three. Go and sit down. Thanks very much. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you. This is just to link it to something real in the classroom, although robot dancing does happen at my school currently. One of the things, I got inspiration for this presentation by a lesson observation actually, because I'm a head teacher and I don't do a lot of teaching myself these days. So I was doing a lesson observation. One of the things I thought was excellent that I saw was linked to this, and it was a year 13 biology lesson. And it was about a week before one of the sort of final A-level exams. I went into the lesson and I saw this brilliant sort of planned lesson. And the teacher had spent maybe 6 weeks going through past papers and getting the students to look at the mark scheme and things like that. But there was a different approach to this lesson, which was basically they used that data to pick on all the strengths and the areas that the individual students needed to improve. She then paired them up into 2s or 3s. and got them working on model answers. So these model answers were provided. She provided the past paper question, a model answer, so they didn't actually answer it themselves. But then what she got to do was to critique it and suggest how it could be improved, how many marks it would have got, but also how it could have been much better. And so there was a different, almost like a flipped approach, a different approach than what I'd seen before. And speaking to the students afterwards, because part of the lesson they also then had to stand up and justify why they thought that about this model answer and actually how it could be better. And then other students then challenged them on that. And then I spoke to the student as a group afterwards, and they just said that that sort of approach, that which they hadn't done before in other lessons, made it was much more effective for their learning and felt better prepared for the exam. So I guess it's just once again linking back to the presentations, thinking about more about the process and developing more higher order skills so that you can challenge and particularly more able students, but challenge all students. That's it. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Right, one final before we come on to our final presentation. We have a few colleagues in America watching as well now. So hello, everyone. It's time you woke up over there. Nina, would you like to come up on behalf of School IP and draw out the winner for the tablet, please? At School IP as well, if you're on Twitter, please. And the
Ventio Edu.
All right, same thing.
Close. Jack Cooper?
And he didn't go early. Yes. Awesome. Thank you.
He was insistent he folded it a certain way.
Oh, nice. Anyway, not on Twitter, but representing Tiverton High School at Tiverton High is Mark Barlow. And he's going to talk to us about how he uses class charts, which is one of our other sponsors, which is a quality bit of software that we've all hopefully seen and used. If not, you're about to find out.
Fab. So I'm Mark Barlow. I'm from Tiverton High School. I'm one of the assistant heads there. Now, I know tonight time is a bit of a problem, but it's always a problem, I would say, in any school. And I think class charts for us over the last 12 months has been a real time saver. It's a program that sits on top of Sims, if you've got that in your school, and it does a number of different things. I won't do it justice in a few minutes, but I'm going to just pick on a few very key timekeeping or time-saving things that it does do. Okay, here's a couple of the things that it does. So it helps us know our students, it helps us to reward and sanction our students, and it helps us to track our students as well. Let me just go through. So it sits on top of Sims. It has all the information that Sims can produce. Let me go through them. So if you're a teacher, this is what you would see when you first log on to class charts. You'd have your classes. You probably have a few more of them than that. You click on your class, and there they are in front of you. They're photos. You can see where they are. They're sitting around their tables in your classroom. You'll notice that each of them has their own card. And this is what we're saying about knowing your students, because as you look at a card, you can see straight away, are they pupil premium? You can see straight away, have they got an SCN? You can see straight away, what is that SCN? And also you can program it to say whatever data you want. One of the bits of data that we try to use is target grades. Now, that's really useful because when you first come at the beginning of a year and you get a new class, you don't know what your class looks like, do you? You're wondering about who is in there. I don't know the students. Straight away, log on to class charts, click on your class, and there you are. All the information that you want and need straight away. Time saving. Now, every student also needs to be able to, every teacher needs to be able to say, right, I know my individual students, but when they're together, I need to make sure they sit in the right places. So you need to get a seating plan. That can be tricky and time consuming. So what class charts does for you is you can choose to rearrange your pupils in your classroom based upon key bits of information. So you use that, you literally slide the dial across and then press optimize. It optimizes the classroom for you and takes you back into your classroom. So that's an absolute key thing that we've used this last year so that we can guarantee as classroom teachers and then as leaders within the school that each classroom teacher knows the students. If you're doing observations, it's quite handy. You can print these off straight away, walk into the classroom. Where's the pupil premium students? Where's the SEN students? How are they being supported? What's going on within those rooms? It's a very, very useful device for all layers of the school. Second thing to go through is about rewarding and sanctioning students. Class charts, when you click on a student, up comes a couple of key things. You notice you got positive and negative buttons there. You choose what you want to reward as a school. This is what we do at our school. We reward key learning behaviors. We've decided we're not going to just give points because that person was nice in giving that other person a pen, even though that is a good thing to do, and we want to make sure that it happens lots. We are rewarding students for organizing skills, for their connections they're making between previous lessons or for prior knowledge, cooperation in group work, reflection when they're having to really think through the work that they're doing, resilience when they're finding it hard, don't know the answers, and then independence when they're having to work on their own. So we will reward those, and every time we click on these and give them a positive reward, it gives them a point, and that goes straight into their account, and their account earns them points over time. We give points for extracurricular involvement too, and they can spend that in a reward store, not organized by ourselves. Class Charts does it. They literally go on, click and collect and take away the prizes that they've got. We budget for that within our school rewards budget. The same exists the other way. What is it in your school that you want to stamp out? What key behaviors? If you're this school concerned here, it would be chatting. It might be people being rude or calling out. It might be students that weren't doing their homework. You choose what areas that you want to do. You make it bespoke to your school, and again, it records it straight away. Once you've got all of those types of behaviors, positive and negative, you can do whatever league tables you want across houses, like we do in our school, across year groups, individuals, tutor groups, whichever you want. You've got that opportunity to be able to record it and use it. The final one is tracking your students and tracking the behaviors. Now, this is what I think for me was the key selling point when we first bought into it, and one of the key areas that I really, really like. Here it is. So as soon as the button is pressed on Class Charts, as soon as it's pressed, you have key information going to the people that need to know. So as soon as that happens, the tutor gets emailed. So it's negative behaviors. As soon as a child is parked in our school, an email goes to their tutor and to their head of house. As soon as that student walks into the tutor room the next morning, the tutor is well informed about what's happened that previous day and can impact straight away. There's no middleman. It just says it as it did straight from the teacher's mouth. The other thing that we think is particularly good is that this comes with an app. The student downloads an app, the parent can download an app. As soon as that teacher presses that button, there's immediate feedback to all those parties. So to the tutor, to the head of house, and now the parent can see that that student has what that student has done in their classroom, positively or occasionally negatively. The students can also have that ability. I was walking around at break time yesterday, walking around, having a chat with some students. They got their phones out of their pockets and they showed me their pie charts. And they started saying to me, "What do you think of that? Is that good?" I said, "Show me the previous month." And they showed me the previous month. And I said, "Look, that is an improvement, isn't it? That's much better. Look how many points you got for this. Look at hang on a minute, where's your resilience points? How are you not getting those? They're key things to be working on, aren't they, for next month?" So straight away, the student owns their behavior, owns what they're doing in the classroom. As a school, we dictate which behaviors we want to see and which behaviors we don't want to see, but the students can then own that. Parents can reinforce it, tutors can reinforce it, and heads of house can oversee it. So the final thing is that you've got all the analytics that need to be done on a kind of a different level when you're looking as those in charge of behavior, whether you're a subject leader or whether you're a head of house or head of year. You can also be looking and analyzing trends and data and all kinds of things, looking at month by month, how is the school behaving? So it gives you that whole opportunity if you're a leader too. In the classroom, the key things that you're looking for is one, knowing your students, and that can take time, but it doesn't have to take quite so long getting the data together. Two, rewarding your students and sanctioning them can sometimes be arduous, and the paper trail goes on forever. It doesn't have to. And finally, the tracking of your students can be in the hands of the people you need it to straight away. So Class Charts for us over the last 12 months has been brilliant. We're continuing to refine it. It's going to start taking the register. It's got homework. It's got loads of other things that are going on with it. So it's well worth a look. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone watching online. Hello, Mary Alice in Boston. It's been a long time. Nice one. We have got, for real, yeah, there's a few people, and a couple of people in Australia as well, so time to get to bed. Okay, so Mark has got a £100 meal voucher for 2 people to be redeemed wherever you'd like, courtesy of Class Charts, actually. Sorry, apt. So, Mark.
Okay, so to win this one, okay, there's no draw, there's no sort of pulling it out of a bag sort of thing. What I want is somebody to come and stand on this stage here and share the thing that they think they'll take away and try in their classroom tomorrow as soon as possible. The thing that's had the biggest impact on them today to win this. Somebody up here, first person here, gets this. Seriously. There you go. Big tasty.
I'm already sort of trying to devise different codings for my marking to do with tone and colour and things like that from the maths feedback we had earlier.
Brilliant. So that was from Rachel Kidson. Brilliant. There you go. Where's Rachel there? So brilliant. Straight away. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And there's your voucher. Awesome.
So you get to go out for a meal with Rachel. No joke. Okay, before I hand back over to Mark, I would like to say a massive thank you for second year running. I'd like to thank all of our very kind sponsors and everyone who's participated. It's very hard in Devon to get people to travel. It's not like we're in a big city. A brilliant turnout. Currently trending #1 on Twitter now, above Lord Heseltine. I'm not sure what that's about. Hopefully nothing political. So a huge thank you very much. Teach Meet Devon 2017 is going to be even bigger and even better. Mr. Anderson, I'd like to just very quickly hand over to you now for some closing remarks. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
I just wanted to say thank you to you myself and what have you, but I wanted to say a big sort of thank you and maybe to Gary for sort of pulling it all together as well, because I know how hard he's worked to try and get everything sorted, and Teresa as well. So can I have a round of applause for Teresa and Gary as well, please? Is there a prize for who gets to drive the furthest home? 93 miles. Anyone more than that? Anyone? Oh, yay. Thank you. Have a great drive home. Thank you.